Hey guys, just wanted to do another quick video. I decided I wanted to go through and make a pile of the books that I have that I haven't actually read yet that are Stephen King. And these are ones that I maybe just haven't gotten around to, or I'm waiting, maybe I'm going to get them on audio, or I'm waiting to see if there's going to be a different media adaptation like a movie or a series on them, and a lot of them there are. But these are ones I just, in the last couple of years, I just haven't been able to read like I used to. I used to be able to pick up a 500-page book and crank that out in a weekend, no problem. But I just don't have the attention span for it anymore. I blame social media and my cell phone for that. All the scrolling just kind of ruined it for me. But I can still do audiobooks. So I'm slowly listening to some King. I'm working my way through the Dark Tower on audio book. Right now I'm actually doing some gardening and listening to Fellowship of the Rings, taking a bit of a King break, but Fellowship of the Rings, that's another good one. So yeah, so I decided I'd just go kind of through and show you the books that I have, and these are ones that I have in my collection that I haven't read. Now there's going to be ones that I haven't read that I just don't have yet, like The Outsider or The Institute. I don't have any of those yet. And just because I haven't read it doesn't mean I don't add it to the collection. I'm hoping to one day be able to get it probably audio. So but we'll go ahead and we'll start with, I know this one is supposed to be having a movie adaptation, I believe, coming out, Revival. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. It seems like an interesting concept for a story. I'm not going to go into it just because I only know what I read on the back of it. But what I do like about this one is I actually have in my collection, I have a Chinese and a Polish version of it as well. And those are kind of cool to add to my collection. But I'm waiting for the movie to come out on that. And depending on if I like the movie, and I keep in mind I always judge movies and books different from each other because I consider them two different universes because King adaptations are kind of hit or miss, and I don't want one doesn't ruin the experience of the other for me. So, but if I do like the adaptation, then it's more likely that I would read the book. So I'm waiting for that to come out. The next one I also know is one that's coming out with an adaptation with a person that I think is an amazing actor, Julianne Moore. She did the sequel to Silence of the Lambs. I thought that was amazing. I love her in Evolution. That's one of my favorite movies. David Duchovny, her, Orlando Jones, hilarious. Ka-ka, tiki, tiki, tiki. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about there. So yeah, it's Lizzys Story. And what I really like about this one is I love the cover underneath. It's just such a cool cover. So yeah, that's one. There again, I'm definitely probably going to watch it just because it has Julianne Moore in it. But yeah, so Lizzie's Story, that's one that's on my to be read pile. Then the next one I've heard good things about, but I haven't actually read any of it myself, is Dumaki. There you go. This is a former library book copy that I saved from a library. Looks like it was actually even my local library, so yay. So yeah, I have not read it. I've heard good things about it. No one's ever actually told me any of what the story is, just that it's good. So I'm kind of looking forward to them possibly doing an adaptation of that. It's on there again on my list. When I get enough Audible credits, I'll eventually get around to it, but not in a hurry at the moment. It's not on the top of my pile. Now this one is probably one that I am more likely to read more recently. And I may actually try and read it or get the audible version of it, is Dr. Sleep. Now, I know that the movie version, which I happen to really enjoy, is not quite the same as the book version, but of course it never is. But the movie version was intriguing enough for me, was an interesting introduction to the concept that it makes me want to go back and read the book. So I figure that's a win. But yeah, it's the sequel to The Shining, Danny Torrance in it, and Abra Stone, Shine On. Very cool concept. I liked the movie that I saw. It was a really good Ewan McGregor. I thought he did an excellent job. The way they tied it into the Kubrick film, even though I know that wasn't one of King's favorites, it was still a nice throwback. I thought they did a really good job of that. So that alone made me want to probably try and read this one. So that's probably next on my list of challenges. The next one is I believe this is a collection of short stories. It's Just After Sunset. I'm not honestly familiar with any of the stories in this one. I've got a couple copies of it, different versions and everything. Of course, I added them to my collection when I come across them at the thrift store. But I am not sure I've read any of them or heard any of the short stories in them. If it's something that you know of that I might be more familiar with, please leave a comment below. But yeah, it's one I want to get around to, but I just love the cover on it. I don't know if you can kind of see how it's all shiny and rainbowy and lenticular. And then I have a copy that's not shiny like that. So very cool. The next one, I already know there's an adaptation of it. It was on Sci-Fi. I believe it was called Haven, but it was based off of the Colorado Kid, the hard crime short little small book that King wrote. I did see a couple episodes of Haven. I really don't remember much about it. It might be one I circle back to, but it's probably down on the list. But I might actually try and read this one. It's a small enough book. It's not too daunting. Can probably hold my attention long enough to do that. So the next one is also in the hard case crime series. It is Joyland. Now, I know he's got a couple in this series. I believe like Later just recently came out. That's also in this series. I don't have any copies of that, but there's a couple of really cool variant covers that I'd like to get. But I'm not going to, I try and get most of my books used, so the likelihood of it is probably not. So, but very cool. I like there again, it's a thinner book, so another one that, not too daunting, and it's a different type of story for King. So, the next one is 11/22/63. Now I know it's got a show on Hulu with James Franco, and I do like James Franco as an actor. I have not watched the show. I've heard good things about it. I do want to check it out at some point, but there again, I've got so many things on my list I'm just trying to catch up on, and things I fall back into, like Doctor Who and Supernatural. I can watch reruns of those all the time. So, but I will eventually get around to it. I don't know if I'll read the book or not. Maybe I'll get it on audio. I've heard really good things about it. I am looking for the alternative cover from when they released it in Europe and how they do the date there. So it's 22/11/63, but I have not been able to get one yet, but I'm keeping my eyes out for it. And then the next one is Bag of Bones. And I knew so little about Bag of Bones, I thought it was a short story collection. So for the longest time, I had it cataloged in my short story section. And then I finally realized that, no, it's actually just one of his single stories. It's a story into itself. So I had to refile it. But yeah, that's how little I know about it. I know there was a TV show or a mini series on, I want to say like TNT or something a while back. I haven't seen it. I don't know anything about it. I know it's more of a ghost story, but it's maybe, I believe it's actually one of King's more favorite stories, if I'm remembering that correctly. So it's one that he actually enjoys. So I might come around to it. I maybe will watch the TV series and then maybe based off of that decide to read it or not. And then the next ones I have are actually all three kind of go together. Now, there's an adaptation of this, a couple of seasons of it even, but I haven't seen any of it. It's the Bill Hodges trilogy. And of course, that's made up of Mr. Mercedes, Finders Keepers, which I do not have a hardcover of that one yet, and End of the Watch. So that's another one that I haven't read yet, but there is an adaptation out there that I may check out. I've heard, there again, really good things. I mean, they made 3 seasons of it. It's interesting, though, that it has the character of Holly, can't remember the last name, Holly, but it's played by a different actress, and there's another Holly out there in another show that's the same character played by a different actress. So that's something different. But yeah, I want to check that out, and see if it's something that I like, and hopefully, if it is, I'll come around to it eventually. But there are so many things on my list. I'm not gonna lie. I know there's a lot of things I'm never going to get around to reading of his, but I'm still going to add them to the collection. So I'm a completist. I have to have them all. So, but yeah, if you have any that you have on your to be read list and you want to share it below, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. And I hope everyone's staying safe and keep reading.